What? Why am I not live on the other ones? Hello, folks. How are we doing? Who's in chat? There's a way to show. Oh no, it's just me over there, probably. So many extra windows open today. We are cleaning those up. That all came through correctly. All right, now we got some other folks in. Hello, folks. Who's here? Plead 21st. You plead the 21st on the grounds that it's Friday. That's fair. Here come, folks. It's also my fault to some degree. I did not have things quite as clear as I could have for people. So, welcome. Always happy to have you here. What am I looking to go to? Uh, there we go. Sorry, Brian. You do not need to be in another tab. It's been a long week, friends. How's everybody doing? Sound off in the comments. Tell me about your week. What's new? What's not new? What's exciting? What's not exciting? While I do. Hello, Christopher Gray. Yeah. Are any of these alive? That always happens. What if I. There we go. Give it a second. It's always weird because there's like no noise, there's no music, there's no nothing here. We can give you guys like background music. Can you hear me? Rodney, do you like my chill background music? Is really the question. That's all I care about. Does Rodney like my chill background music? Oh yeah, they did. Totally. I'm sure they're like, how can we screw TJL over? How can we get them? Let's go for it. You're alive, little machine. I never understand that, why it won't come up. Hmm. Boo, 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 boo. I can build my own PyKVM. Ah, shoot. This is just so dangerous. Like, I don't need that. I want it. Yeah, we're keeping it chill. What do folks want to do today? Anybody want to build anything? Because like, there's the other part of me that's like totally cool to be like, it's been cool to be here, but maybe we'll take a day off. I know Rodney, I know that Alex and Lina are out checking out our site for the Builders Conference, which is super exciting, and I fully want to get into that place. I can't wait to see them and see what we've got going on. It's one of those days though where I could use additional time. But like, how does this work? Sorry, I'm looking into KVMs. Like, this is dangerous. But here, let me share my screen. Rodney, maybe you can convince me to not do this. Look at this. Look at this. Want it. So should we get this? Also, you do have to put it with I just have this Mac Mini or this Mac Studio that like is theoretically Wake on LAN and on the freaking network. But like every time I try to hit it after it's been off for a little, it's like, no, I've never existed before. And it's really annoying. They sell DIY boxes, DIY things where you can like build your own. It's a lot of work when I could just buy something. Their V4 Plus, I think, is 2 devices. Let's see. The wildest part is you can do need that. This GLINet makes one too. Where's that? This is the one that I've seen. I've seen recommended. It's a remote KVM. Works with Tailscale. Don't do this to me. Deeply tempted. Deeply, deeply tempted. A remote power control with fingerbot. That's amazing and hilarious. So, like, what do y'all have any ideas of the things you want to do? Because I can just break into some stuff that I have been looking at. If you don't have anything in particular to do or you want to do. Also, some stuff that I was going over today with Ian, which is pretty cool. They are going to release a Comet PoE. Or is it out of stock right now? No. I think folks are mostly, yeah, figure out how to CI/CD my Forge apps. Fair. That could be interesting. Sure. Let's see here. Let's do a Forge app and then CI/CD that thing with Bitbucket. Why not? Okay, let's hit the developer community. And then let's do, which, by the way, to folks, and I can pull this, let me pull the audio out now. But, one thing that we can, let me turn this off so we don't need this hide. There we go, awesome. We'll chat back up. Developer community is a great place to go if you want to learn about Forge. Or you want to, like, if you have questions about Forge, this is the place to go. You can go here to the section called Forge, all things Forge, marketplace for marketplace partners. All of this is the developer community. It's currently separate from the regular community. I've heard rumors that maybe that'll change at some point. Here's Rovo, which is amazing. Like, here's a whole Rovo space about all the Rovo things that are going on. And all the work people are doing, all of that stuff. So you can see what people are working on here just by sort of like looking at what's being posted here. So, yeah, to the bit buckets, as Rodney says. Let's think about this. Here we go. Here we go. We can set up CI/CD with Forge apps because, of course, there's documentation because they love us. All right, cool. So, um, let's split the screen. And let's go to, where am I going? Oh, admin.atlassian.com. Oh, that's weird. Oh, weird. It's not what I wanted it to do. Hold on. And now, Rodney, I understand why. You use things like our good friend, OBS. So let me move this to its own tab. Actually, let me just share the whole application. I can do that? I think so. Window. That's what I want. There we go. There we go. So let's get into here. I think we've got, let me see if we've got an app installed here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Good old Jira turning itself on slowly. Good old Jira taking its good old time. No projects. No projects in Jira. But let's see if we've got any applications in line. No. Okay, and workwrite.dev. Um, I know where we can go. Oh no, it's guffy.dev. Okay, we should have some apes in here. Yeah, project intro. Right, this little project cast that we made the other day. Cool. All right, so let's take a look at what the expectations are here. Let me open the CI/CD thing now. Okay, we got delivery, integration, and deployment tutorials. Well, this is exciting. I don't understand why this text is so big. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, so they want to start with integration. Oh, interesting. Look at all of these. This is great. All right, here you go. We'll start here. Continuous integration tutorial. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to build a simple Hello World application. But our app doesn't deploy it then. Hold on, let me see here. Uh, we were on a different page in a different place. Oh, okay. Hold on. This is me losing my brain a little bit. Set up continuous delivery for Forge apps. There we go. That's what we want. We want to come over here. There we go. So we're going to learn how to use, oh, nope, and everything stopped sharing. There we go. All right, so we're going to learn how to use environment variables. Let's make this bigger. All right, we're going to learn to use environment variables to authenticate Forge CLI commands, orchestrate deployment processes triggered by Git merges, and create deployment workflows for staging and production. Now, what's interesting, it says continuous, there's got an article here, continuous integration versus delivery versus deployment. Do folks know the difference? Why don't we walk through that really quick? CI is making sure that changes come back to the main branch as quickly as possible. So the build gets made and you run automated tests. So you make sure that the code that you write in a branch is the code that gets into main as quickly as possible. Continuous delivery is about getting the code to a testing or production environment after the build stage. So after you're working on it in your repository, it gets into your environment. Deployment is where everything goes out into, it's where it gets to production. Those are the three different levels. So we're working on continuous delivery today, which is after integration. So we're assuming we've done continuous integration because that is not really related necessarily to which, it's not related to whether it's a Forge app or not. But continuous delivery is because we have specific environments we're going into. So we have a Forge app. We have imported the app, installed the app to an Atlassian site where we have admin rights. Okay, so here's the thing we need to do. Is we need to import the app's code to a Git repository that features CI/CD repos. That's going to be Bitbucket Cloud. So what I need to do, oh, that's fun. A broken robot. Let's see what happens. Yay, Aaron. I was about to show off setting up continuous delivery. But I also kind of want, Aaron, what can you show us about the Forge stuff you've been working on? Oh, okay. I actually need to get back over to here and go. Do I not have a Bitbucket app yet? Let's see. Yeah, Aaron, you tell me if you're excited to come on and actually be on the stream, because would love that if you're up for it. Oh, I do need Bitbucket. Let's add it. There we go. Workspace. This should be fun. One moment, your app is starting up. I also want to know why this thing keeps saying that it's making noise on this tab, but I never hear the noise. It's very confusing. Except when I turn on music, then there's actual noise. It's just running all of the time. Yeah, at 100%. Wow. Ooh, yeah, that's great. Okay. I'm gonna shoot you a DM. Well, my Bitbucket site gets together. Okay, it's ready. That's cool. What up? What up?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, my friend.
Oh, cool, cool. Um, I just snuck in the back door there. Yeah. Sorry, my kids are asking to do something.
No, no problem.
Right, so they get in here.
Yeah, let me know, and then I'll show you. I'll let you show, and then I'll go. Because what I'm going to do is, I wonder how many people. I mean, if you're on here, hopefully you know how Git works. But like, it's maybe you and me and Rodney sitting in the chat. So we can take a look at what it looks like to have CI/CD all set up already.
I do have it set up in one of my
Yeah,
environments. Yeah. Let me get to the environment. I could show you what I got for pipeline here. Um,
because what I'm looking at is like I have an app in here. Let me go
yeah,
to
I have Bitbucket open on one side, but then on my terminal and stuff is on another computer than what I'm on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, I can. You should be able to share whenever you want,
Oh,
and I can unshare. There we go.
it's gonna probably kick me out because it's gonna say go do this and open up your stuff.
Maybe might be easier than that. Who knows?
If it kicks me out, I'll be back.
Of course. Code stuff, projects, JavaScript. Yeah. Okay. So, uh, we want to go to. Like with Bitbucket, if I can get in here, it's the part I don't. Okay, create a Git repository. Yeah, I know you can do that like online, but like, can't I create the? Okay, so add a repository. Create. Oh, what is that? What is that window that happened? That was weird.
I am back.
You're back.
I've never used this live stream restore. I've never done that before, so and we'll double share. Can you see the Bitbucket?
Oh, I gotta add it to the scene. There we go.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Woo!
So you can see
Oh,
Bitbucket now.
yeah. Whoops. Hold on. I just switched it around. Yeah. Hold on. Let me just maximize it. There you go.
Okay.
There we go. And I guess then we can also like. There we go. That's what I'll do. So then we don't accidentally take away from it.
Yeah. So I can't see the other screen because I moved it, but let me see if I can move that one down. Then I can see both myself. That way I'm not. There we go. Okay, that works better because then I can see both places. So I created a Atlassian migration calculator recently, and
Mm-hmm.
so this is my repo for that calculator in the source code. These are the files. When we're setting up the pipelines and doing like CI/CD, you need to create a pipelines YAML file. You can see I have a few here because I did a few things. But then that YAML file will point to like the code, like how you want it to work in the pipeline. And so you can go into pipelines, and once it's set up and you have the YAML file complete, your deployments will show up and your pipeline will show up that connection. So I did
Mm-hmm.
this to Forge, but you can do it to like AWS, Google, like whatever it is that you want to deploy to. Um, a lot of people are using like AWS with like containers, and then they're like pushing the data from here through pipeline to there. When we go into deployments, when you set up your pipeline, your deployments will show in these areas if you set it up that way. So you'll have your test, your staging, your production,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to denote how this is set up. So like you could have tests say development if you wanted to. Um, this is just kind of out of the box the way it does, and I kind of use more of a base template from the Forge connector to run it. And then once it's set up, then you'll be able to push from your development area into your so this is my development area for tech, and I
Mm-hmm.
automatically have it pushed to staging. So
Right.
whatever I create that in the test environment, it will automatically go. Now some places don't do that. Their CI/CD and development teams, like their methods aren't like that. They might use staging for like before, like in the test of QA, and then push it there to then
Mm-hmm.
double check staging, and then from there go to production. And typically, when you go into your pipelines, you'll see things like this. So you'll see I have some successful pushes here. You'll see
Mm-hmm.
some halts because I hit my max and I had to pay for it. But then if
Mm-hmm.
you go down here, you'll see pauses. And pauses are just saying that like it stopped going from development to staging. So we're looking for an approval here is what's happening. We're going to
Gotcha.
stop it from going to the next stage because we don't. And so sometimes you might not deploy something right. Like you'll make a change, you'll update it, and it doesn't reflect right. So
Mm-hmm.
then we won't deploy that to development. And then if I go into my calculator, if I go over here, you can see that this is the migrations calculator. This is in the dev environment. And usually it'll always say dev next to it. So you know that you're in that dev environment. So and then you could maybe have like another site or this site, and you could have your staging one there too. So you could check against it. So I just have dev because I'm just using dev and staging as one because I'm just a one person team.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to do this a different way, I think I would set up the staging in here too and deploy the staging to this environment so that we could validate the changes we made before going to staging. So going back into here, you can see that we didn't deploy that portion of the pipeline for that for these three different changes. I didn't push those because I made some other changes and I waited till we got to these other ones to push it. So that it was working. And then can go back here and you can see like what did we do here to update this, and then you could see like did that update work. I just made an update where my if we go down here, the project timeline was actually on the side here, but it was like so condensed and gross looking. I
Mm-hmm.
moved it down here so you could see the project timeline better. So
Mm-hmm.
so now I got this empty white space, and now I got to figure that out. But um, that's all part of the deal here, right? So then part of the CI/CD, I think too, is like branch best practices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where we're putting stuff. So if we look at branching, um, I haven't done it quite yet, but like I would like to have branches for um, like a test branch or a development branch, the main branch where everything would go to, um, maybe a features branch where we're doing
Yeah.
features on and
Yep.
such. So I haven't set that up in this specific one yet, but I think like in near future when I get to where I want to go, like we would have all those 3 or 4 best practice branches there. And then, every time you get done with one and you merge it, you would then create another branch that would take over that features area again and label it what the feature is. But I haven't done that yet. So the biggest thing is like when you come into pipelines and you
Yeah.
set it up, um, is that you get the YAML file correct.
Right.
So Yeah,
YAML. Oh, good old YAML, huh?
yeah, good old YAML. So I could kind of show you what one of those files looks like in here. We could just
Yeah.
read against it. So um, I'm gonna say it was 720, 719. Just try and look at which one would be the most applicable. So reading the YAML file, the YAMLs have to be there for multiple things, right? Like if you're building in Forge, you have to have a YAML file for your manifest. It's
Mm-hmm.
very similar to that, um, but a little different when you're coming to the pipelines. But really, what you're doing is you're outlining, the steps you're taking. Now, this is basic. I did the basic one to get started and I used a template, but some people will have like steps in here that talk about um, uh, like code scanning for security, um, code structure, like some of those stuff, they'll have those other apps that are doing those things first before it can even go to anything else. So
Mm-hmm.
I obviously haven't called that out here, but I do have a step down here for deploying staging. And then what is it doing? What are the catches there for the node in Forge? How is it doing that with the script install Forge CLI globally and PM install dash? So that's going to do that for you when you do that.
Yeah. And basically, what's happening here for folks is it's spinning up effectively a little container and installing this stuff, and then doing the work to push to the next environment.
Yeah, yep. And I've even doubled that. So I use Claude for terminal and then for my VS Code.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually like terminal better in some senses than in VS Code. So I kind of use those in tandem, but I've set it up to give permissions um, for Forge to actually deploy this stuff for me. So when it deploys it to Bitbucket then does it. So I'm just having it do it for me as I'm going through coding and as I'm adding that stuff in VS Code or I'm
Mm-hmm.
adding that in the terminal. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of vibe coding, but then actually going back and looking at the structure of the code and looking at
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. And I'm not like a developer by trade by any means. This is something newer that I've been learning. And I'm still teaching myself JavaScript and Node.js and React because React and Node are the biggest portions of Forge. But I would like
Yep.
to expand this out to even just like other things. But I think this has like been a really good basis teacher of like how do these things need to be structured. And I've learned through my time that like the AIs don't know YAML well. They don't take it well. Like so you have to really understand or start to teach yourself YAML because they don't get it. Um, you can
Yeah.
help them along though by showing them things and helping them learn the structure, but they definitely out of the box get kind of crazy and do some weird things that shouldn't be done or against best practice. So,
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. I uh, yeah, it is really interesting to do that and do it sort of that way and get it going. And I, goodness, I have to remember how to talk. Yes. Um,
but yeah, that's what the YAML file looks like. And then again, like when you go into pipelines, let me see if I have another repository that I could just spin up so we could look at. I'll just make a test repository. And that will like let us go show how we set that.
yeah.
So if we go down into pipeline, because you can have one pipeline per repository, which is like more like kind of the safekeeping, right? Because you don't want to have double going. So when you create your pipeline, you can use a starter pipeline, which is just a skeleton template, or you can use another template for the different project that you're trying to do and where are you building it to. So depending on what you're building, there's some really good ones out of the box. Sometimes I'll go here first and then I'll come down into pipe integrations and then type in like the one that I want. So it could be for sneak scanning, it could be for Upshini sending alerts, it could be for Heroku. Like another one that we've been working with lately is ECR in AWS. So you could get an image of that and it would give you the YAML file template, and then you would have to fill in all of the data there, like the variables for access and tokens, and the region, and all of the things that you're trying to accomplish there. And it's pretty long, so you do have to do some homework. And none of these are, you know, similar, I guess you could say. Like they all have their own little beast, I think, when you're building them.
Yeah.
Like for this one, it says that there's some prerequisites with the IAM and web identity provider using OIDC. And then there'll be your tokens from where it's coming from and whatnot. So I do always recommend using like a service account for these if you're like in business, right? Like using a service account and drawing the tokens from the service account rather than a person, because if like that person leaves and their account gets disabled, then what happens? Your token is no good, right? And then your pipelines stop and then everybody's panicking why the pipelines aren't working. So some things there to keep in mind, but quite a few things. This is like the pipeline for Bitbucket um, basic setup again. That's kind of like
Hmm.
what I used a little bit, but then I expanded on it. So you can do that. You can also, there is a um, website on Atlassian if you're using Forge and you're using the Forge starter. Um, that will let you validate your YAML file and let you validate that it's
Ooh,
good or
there you
wrong.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's something to also keep in mind that you can do that. And then you also have your like variables here that you can call out and use and secure. And the other thing you have to do if you look at the documentation is in your Bitbucket repository settings, you have to go down to your repository variables. And you have to, I believe, set up those variables there for that. So is it the variable or integrations? I want to say it's repository variables that you can hit. So um, or it might be in the regular settings. Let's go to workspace settings. I think it was in there. It was the variables that you need. So if you go back, it's in there. I don't know why it's showing up. Oh, because it's not set up in that repository. That's why. So yeah, when you get in here, if you set up the pipeline in the repository, you'll need to go down to the repository variables. You'll enter that. So that would be like the email string that you're using and the token string that you need to validate those, because it's going to use a variable in there. So you'll have to call that variable, and the variable inside the YAML file will be like email underscore. Let's go back because you
Gotcha. Excellent.
yeah. So you'd want to know to make sure to do that in the pipeline setup. So I wonder if I can remember. Is it Forge? Forge deploy. There's the YAML. So let's just copy this one. And then we can just copy that in here so you guys can see. So you'll see that it says like Forge email underscore email and then Forge API, Forge underscore API underscore token string. So you'll need that and then the Forge path. So that will be the things that you need if you're doing the Forge pipeline. So, and then you can call out the deployments and stuff and arguments. So you could probably take this along with the test default one to come up with like a usable one. That's what I
Hmm.
did. And then start adding arguments for all that stuff. So and it
Smart.
calls it out here too. Like you can see that. So I just took a combination of both and put it together. So, and I believe the last line, just so it doesn't trip you up, the last line has to be empty. So if it's line
Um,
27, just make sure line 27 is not there or it will like error out on you. So,
yeah,
but you
that
could
makes
feed
sense.
this to like Gemini or Claude to help you formulate how you want it to do and just be specific in the things that you want in there. And it should be able to come up with like, yeah, 70% of it. So I had to like feed and, look into like, how does a YAML file really need to look for the things that I'm doing? So again, you can use the Forge one, or you can go in and look at the starter ones. And it
Right.
depends what you're trying to like do, right? Like what are you trying to accomplish, or where are you developing to and from? So, and
Absolutely.
there's the
Great.
documentation. And I believe one of these, I don't remember which one. One of them somewhere, I can't remember what link it was, but it gave us the place that you could validate that YAML file. So it would catch the errors in and say it's valid or not valid. So yeah, so that's kind of like
Excellent.
show you. Yeah, and then since we're going over CI/CD, I think the way that they built Forge, like, is so unique because like a lot of it's already like set up for you, right? So connecting a
Hmm.
pipeline is even easier than with other tooling. Like if you're using Circle CI or AWS or something, like there's more to it, connecting that to your Bitbucket and your source code. But I think the base layer is like, you know, get your source code management set up, find your best practice, find like how you want to structure the repositories and how you want your merge and pull requests to go, um,
Hmm.
and making sure that there's those approvals and there's those lines, and then adding that into your pipeline methodology too. I think they have to align when you're doing that. And again, I'm not a developer, but I feel like going on this journey and reading all the documentation and watching all the videos and going through that, I feel like um, all of that's kind of embedded in that, to help you learn that. And so if you don't know that and you're on this journey, like a lot of us are, um, like find out that best practice for that and find out how you can, because I think that's where you start to gain these skills. You might not be a true developer, but I think you
Ah,
start to learn to become a true developer and learning to code and learning Python and learning JS and all
if you
of
write code and develop apps, even if you just write code, if you script, you're a developer. I think one of the worst things we've ever done is be like, well, there's real developers and not real developers.
that. Maybe that's true because I've always been a scripter, like Groovy, PowerShell, Bash. Those have been my go-to because I was doing endpoint management for so many years,
Yep.
and so that was like my go-to was using those, especially like on the Mac and Windows environments. It was like, oh, Bash and PowerShell, those are the ways to go. So I never felt like I was that. And then when I got into Atlassian, I was like, oh, script printer. Oh, now I got to learn Groovy. And it was like, oh, learn Groovy. And like, I don't really know like JS or any of that really well. So then like you go down that path and you have to start learning it, but you never really get proficient at it where it's like, because as a scripter, you're always like Googling something, right? And like piecing things together to make it work. So,
Yeah, that's totally true. I think one of the things that I've also been aware of is that you have to disabuse yourself of the notion that the way that this works is that you read something and then you remember it.
mhm.
Like learning how to code is mostly constantly looking things up over and over again
Yes, until they stick, right?
until they until like one day they stick, and it could be 2 years before things stick.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I think
know?
VS Code has been a good helper because like I don't always know like the syntax that I want to use. I know what I wanted to do, but I don't know the
Yep.
syntax that I need to call. So it's like I'm always looking that up. But then I think just having a good IED is like will further you so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. I use Cursor a lot. So for the work that I do, hopefully nobody and their mother watches this, but let me show you. For the work that I do for the let's see, who am I going to? Which screen am I going to use? Okay. Well, let me send a quick message. I think let me pull this out so I can still work on that. So the work that so many windows. There you go. For the work that I do for the roundup. Oh, but this is I guess that we can start here. I'll just go into the Did I share the whole thing? I did, like a smart person. Okay, cool. Um, I'm currently in GitHub, but I may move. But let's go back here. I use Cursor to effectively vibe code this in a
Mm,
bunch of ways. Um, this is this is all the code that gets it pulls the so here we're pulling the dev change log. So this is so I'm parsing the so this is reading the RSS feed of the developer change log
mhm.
and parsing the last week's information and grabbing the URL and the title so that I can put it into the newsletter. Um, this one I'm not done with yet because it duplicates things because of the number of versions that you drop. But this uses the Marketplace API to pull all of the updates to Marketplace apps that happened in the last week.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, then I have this is uses this is the KV work. This all of these are also running in Cloudflare.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so wherever I could, they're running serverless in Cloudflare. And so this worker every Monday at 7 a.m. grabs the next week of events in UTC. So it's about midnight uh, Pacific. So it grabs the next upcoming week events from the public API of Bevy.
Oh, I didn't know Bevy had an API. I didn't know we could.
It does, yeah.
Oh, really? That's so cool to know.
You can't write against it at the moment, but you can read against it. Then also, this is this is using, and I kind of have to clean it up some because it doesn't work the way exactly I want. Right now, it grabs everything called new this week from Jens's cloud updates thing that he built over at Released. Have you seen that?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah,
cloud
yeah,
change log. Yeah,
yeah.
this is pulling from that currently.
Oh, cool.
Um, then I also have, and this is the one that I'm always afraid to share, but this one has to run in a GitHub action because I'm scraping the community site.
Yeah, that's good though, because like community's got so much data there. It's so hard to find sometimes.
So what this does is I'm using a service called Browserless,
Hmm.
which basically gives you like headless browsers in the cloud. So like, it's like Playwright or any of those, but with less coding.
Hmm.
And they have a language called BrowserQL. And what I'm using is I'm actually running like what I do now is I run 5 or 10 instances all at once at each different page of the last 10. Like it basically it does paging. So it'll go 1, 2, or 3, like those number of pages. Read all of those pages, and then it parses to look specifically for that Atlassian team slug.
Hmm.
In the articles, it's using the articles feed or the
Hmm.
articles webpage. So it looks for the Atlassian team slug that sits over on somebody's little profile
Hmm.
um, thing there, and then it grabs the URL and title for each of those and when it was posted.
Oh, nice.
So all of that happens, and then I have this one, which this assembler pulls all of the it reads from all the other workers are attached to key value storage. So all the other that's where they store all of their information. So then this one does is it pulls from all 5 of those, filters it out to only show the most recent update, like for the past week's updates, and then it uses the Ghost editor format. It structures everything for a post, and then hits the Ghost admin API endpoint to create the draft of the newsletter.
Nice. So you
So
have
that
this like
technically,
all automated then.
yeah.
That's so cool.
So right now, what I have to do is I do have to run the assembler. And like I've been, one of the reasons that you haven't seen one in 3 or 4 weeks is a couple of things, because I had to run the assembler manually. But also because I ran into an issue where I couldn't script. They're getting fancy, and it's funny. I'm using Cloudflare against Cloudflare, but so it kept detecting that I was like trying to scrape. All I want are the freaking titles, but they took away the RSS feed from the community.
Oh yeah.
So I was out of town for a week, and so I was like, and suddenly I got behind, and then it wasn't working, like it wasn't pulling information. I just got it working again. So now I have I have three different. So like what it turns out to look like is I need to post one more for last week before the week ends, and then I can pull them all together. But because you can see, I've actually taken a couple of weeks together here now because that's what I was doing.
Hmm.
So these are actually a couple of newsletters together. But yeah, it all comes out like this, and then what I add is my commentary about what's happened in the last week and what I think are particularly interesting things. And what I'm honestly thinking about doing there is actually taking all of these and feeding them into um, like Claude or something. And I'll be like, give me summaries so I can catch up on all of them.
Hmm.
And then and then be like, what are the ones that are most interesting to me? And then I can go and write my little thing at the top and send it out.
That's pretty cool. That reduces the time of a newsletter by like hundreds of hours, right?
Exactly, exactly.
That's so
That was the
awesome.
thing. That's what I was, and I'm working on two other things right now. Well, one other thing right now, particularly, is an MCP server
Oh,
that will be built on cloud using. We've talked about this before, the developer docs and all of the example code that Atlassian has put out there.
oh. I did you
That's
try the
public.
new one, the new MCP server that you can hook from Atlassian to Claude?
That works with your Jira and Confluence data.
Yeah,
So
with Claude.
this will be an MCP server that hooks into a custom set of documentation that I've generated. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm pulling the developer docs, converting them into easily readable text using Jina.ai,
Hmm.
which is a really cool. Oh, come on. So Reader converts any URL to LLM friendly input.
Oh, cool.
So it clears out like in our cases, what it would do is it would read all the developer docs and it would convert each page into Markdown plus referencing images.
Oh.
So taking out all of the JavaScript and all the extra stuff you don't need.
Hmm.
So and then what I'm basically backing it with is a GitHub repo that all that data is stored in, and then the MCP server, which I'm going to be building. So basically, Cloudflare has their own hosted MCP server that you can plug any of your stuff into.
Nice.
So then I will put the stuff in there as using their auto rag service to
Hmm.
help with retrieval to help with instead of just trying to do there's two different types of search that you do. When you're using RAG, you're using semantic. You're tokenizing it to be more effective
Hmm.
instead of simple semantic search. So what it should do effectively is you can then plug your RovoDev CLI
Oh yeah.
or Claude Code
Hmm.
or Cursor or VS Code into this MCP server, and it should give you it should know how the manifest is correctly formatted then.
Cool.
Um, I have to do the thing that is always the hardest thing for me to do. I don't know if you ever experienced this, which is get off my ass and actually deploy it. Like I get nervous.
Yeah. I same.
Like I've walked through this whole thing with Claude, and I'm like, uh, and then I sit there and just let it sit in Claude.
So you mentioned something about Rovo Dev CLI. How do you like it?
I haven't gotten to play with it
Oh
yet.
my
How
God,
do
it's
you
so
like
cool.
it?
I love it. I love it.
They just put
So
GPT-5 in yesterday.
yeah, so I've been using it in tandem with Claude. I have like Claude like deploying my code and getting my code structure set and helping me like make changes. But I use the Rovo Dev CLI to like, hey, go update this Confluence page with this data on this release, or update this Jira ticket, um, to track this thing from this release. And then I just use the data that I'm using from Claude. So I use them in tandem. I was using Rovo to help build, but Rovo won't like be able to like access the code and whatnot. It can push code a little bit here and there. But if you're using like VS Code, it's like disconnected in a sense.
Yeah,
So you have to do it inside the VS Code, and then it like has some limitations where if you just give Cloud access, it can do a lot more for you. So, but I would say like Rovo Dev is awesome because it has that hook into all of my like tracking tools. So I can just like ask it to like do those things. Or if it comes up with like, I need to do this code review and I need you to like throw that in a Confluence page, it will do it for you. And it will give you all, like if you feed it your code that you just did and that code's been validated, it will give you all of that stuff and you never have to write anything. So it's so nice. Um, it just
it's
saves me
so
so much
wild the
time.
world we live in.
Yeah, I never imagined this when I was like 12 years old that we would be living with Terminator and AI robots and all of that cool stuff.
And like so far they're nice robots.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so when do Transformers, because I'm a big Transformers geek, so when does Optimus get to hit Earth and we get to like, work together? Like, this is so cool, right? So I've been nerding out a
Yeah,
lot and I love it. And I have gotten to a passion of this stuff, like where I'm like, I don't want
same.
to watch TV. I don't want to like I want to go play with my kids, and then if I have spare time, I want to like have a beer and do some coding and build something cool, right? Like that's what I want to do.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
really great.
And like
Yeah.
2 years ago, I would have said, nope, I don't want, like I'll script you something, but I'm not doing any of this.
Yeah, you know who else I've seen move from scripting to beginning to code is Daryl Lee.
Yeah, Daryl's awesome. Oh my God, he's so good. And he like knows where all like the niche things are.
That's
So I've
that's what
been, yeah.
that's what that's what started me down this path was I him going through and talking about like the all of that, and then me being like, okay, well, how would I leverage an LLM to help me find those endpoints in like a Jira and Confluence page, and
Hmm.
then getting an LLM to writing an LLM to help parse out like my API keys, like not things you want to necessarily parse out, but like the things that they're passing in the strings up top to like
Hmm.
recognize you, so that like, and then like once I realized I could do that, I mean, man, let me show you in Claude. I am,
So I'm not a Python person yet, and I've been teaching myself Python with like one of those apps at night. Like I'll just do like a few modules. But
yeah,
I've been using Claude and Gemini. Be like, man, I really got to figure out this like Python script for my team, and like it's really weird. Like I can't write some of this code like from scratch, but like I can read it. It's so weird how I
oh,
can read
same
it, but I
here.
can't. Yeah. But all these years of scripting, I think that's why I was able to do that. And so
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I can find where it's wrong or where it didn't come up with the right thing so I can adjust. It's just like if I had to do that manual, I'm like, man, I'd probably be there for like 4 or 5 days, right? But now I can just like talk to the LM, tell it what I want, and it will come up and it will be like 80 to 90% to 95% correct. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh man, I made so much like in such a small time.
Well, I was like struggling to understand the way that React is structured because it's kind of wild, you know. Let me see here. Uh, I actually one of the things I love to do with this stuff is to say, Um, can you write the code, but then also write a like teach me
Hmm.
through what you just wrote.
Oh, yes. I think that's the best part that I like about the LLMs and all of the like all of the Gen AI stuff because like you don't understand something, you tell it why. And I've been working on this other SaaS application at work for work, and one day I was like getting through and I'm like, hey, I needed to tell me like why, how would I talk to a client about what information I need to gather from them? And I totally just reversed it and it like came up with all this stuff of um like how I could make a plan to talk about it so that I could get the right information to plug it into the tool. And I was like, I just reversed what I built it backwards for that, and it shot out all this great stuff. And I was like, oh my God, how long would it took me to like mentally come up with that plan? And it came up with a plan for me. And it was spot on because I was able to take it, ingest it in a tool, and it came out with exactly what I wanted. So it was
Exactly.
so
Yep.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
so neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been, and one of the things that I know that like they recently released um in ChatGPT was the a study mode.
Yeah.
So it
And with
won't tell you everything.
the advanced reasoning too, right? They said that they would like it's not going to block you from doing things, but it's going to reason with you like why, and then it's
Exactly,
going to
yes.
tell you, yeah, and it will give you a spit out. When does that go live? Because I
Well,
watched it.
I mean,
When
it's
is it
live
going to?
now.
Oh, it is.
Like,
Because I went into there the
well,
other
yeah,
day and I
okay,
couldn't
so
select
yeah, I
it.
mean, so study mode was a couple weeks ago. GPT-5, yeah, I'm having the same problem in my app. I still don't see GPT-5. It's probably that they're just like slow rolling the apps because updating a billion apps at once is probably a little difficult. But also, what's really wild is that when I go, if I start a chat on the web, logged in, and then go to the app, I'm using GPT-5. I'm using GPT-5.
Oh, that's weird, but it doesn't say.
It's Chat GPT. Like it doesn't
Oh,
actually show the model. It's really weird.
oh, yeah, because it was showing like the 4 point or whatever the
Yeah,
version.
exactly. It's really wild that it's doing that.
Maybe
Um,
they're going to stop showing what version you're using because Claude shows
oh,
you which
oh
version
yeah,
you're
no,
using.
they are because in fact, what they're doing is they are going to they're getting rid of all of their other models. It's just going to be GPT-5.
Oh, that simplifies it.
Exactly.
I think you'll see that more and more with all of them then. Because like even Gemini, like you can select what it is, but I think as they get bigger and better, the one thing I like is that there's so many choices. Don't you think so? Like they all have something that the other doesn't do well, that they do well. Like I go to Claude for coding, sometimes Gemini for coding. But if I want to like learn something or like know something or like reason with something, I usually go to GPT.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have this idea for an employee sentiment add-on. Like as we get access to the teamwork graph,
Hmm.
we and well, actually, just now because well, not quite, but they just released for Forge. Let me show. They just released the Smart Link
API.
you, module for
Oh
Forge.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So you can start reading data from smart links
Oh, so you could
in your
create
Rovo
a
agent.
Rovo agent. Yeah. Hey, you know one thing that I have a gripe about right now? It's all
Tell
more
me.
it's an automation gripe. In automations, you want to like create a page. Rovo could create a page for you, but it can't create a space. And let's say like we create a new space every time we have like a new client, right? You'd have to manually do that, or you'd have to create a Rovo agent that hits an endpoint to do that. But inside your automation, you can't use a smart value to set the space. And I was so defeated by that because I was writing this automation for this. And I'm like, if only I could do that, I could make all of these things work the way I want. So my My biggest prayer right now to the Atlassian
But you
gods
can just
is
hit,
to do that.
you can just, why can't you just use a REST API call to create the space?
You can, and you could use the REST API call and use a bot to do it, or you could like write that, right?
Put it
But
in your, put it in your Rovo, in your direct automation.
right, but when you want to call that to like set a place that you want those pages to live, you can't use like you can't call that page or you can't call that space with with a smart value or a REST API.
Well, hold on. If you create the, so if you create the space using an API, using a REST API,
Which you can do with Rovo too, right? You could do that with
yeah,
Rovo and
but let's,
you could
but
set
let's
the
do it.
page
Let's do it with automation first, because what it's going to return is the
space ID.
response, right? The space ID.
Yeah, but you can't set the space ID with a smart value of space.id.
Okay, could you set it as something else?
I don't know if you could call this because like the only one that I know that would call a space was the space ID. But if you look in the automations, it won't let you do that if you're trying to, you have to preset a space. You have to preset the
Oh,
space and then you can go and say like, oh, create these
oh,
pages
to
for me.
create a page,
Yeah, so you can do it to create page, but you have to
wait. So you're
pre-identify.
talking about the automation action?
Yeah, automation
Oh,
actions.
well,
Yeah.
Aaron. Okay, here I have a solution for you. I
Really?
actually straight up have a solution for you. Yes. Okay, let
But
me
then you
share
have
my
to use
screen.
API like more than once, and then you'd have to call response and get the and then set the variable.
Hold on, watch. We're gonna go even easier here. I want to go to Forge Auto.
I've
You know,
been
there's
trying
an
to.
automation action EAP.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, so you can write your own action.
Oh, I got to get on the EAP. I'm behind on EAPs right now.
Yeah, I mean, and what this means is that you can write.
Oh, you froze. You're unfroze.
Those.
Well, like your voice is unfroze.
Okay, weird.
There we go.
You can write an action to do what you want.
Oh, I got to get on this EAP then.
Yeah, there's a button right there to sign up for the EAP. Submit a ticket here.
Yeah, I'll go there.
Let me send
Active
you this.
EAP. I'll get it. I already know where you're at, so it's
Yeah,
already saved.
because that you can just write an action and put your function in there. Your function would be the API call.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
I love this for other reasons too, because this is the same problem we run into if you're, let's say you want to authenticate with Azure,
Yeah.
because you want to run an Azure runbook,
Yep.
right? Well, the currently the only way to authenticate is through an interactive authentication,
Right.
which means so instead what you can do is that you can do authentication in the backend
Mhm.
and deliver that to your action so that
Oh,
everybody's using the same service account
right.
for, or you could even define separate service accounts.
Right.
And because you're using, I think at this point, hold on, let me see here. The action is, I'm trying to remember whether the action, yes, and the action can use custom UI. So the other thing, but also with UIKit, you can probably do this. So you could also define different service accounts, and people could only use the one developed by like for their group or something.
Oh, yeah. And then you would know like which in the audit log you would know which team was using what.
Yep.
Yeah. But you wouldn't know who did it. That's the
Well, yes, you could in many ways
oh,
because
because
you
you
could
could see
know.
the actioner, right?
Yeah, you could see who actually set up the action.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Well, this is another way you do that, which is what you could do is somebody can like the other thing that would be really interesting to do is to write. Let's see. As I think about this,
Have you wrote your own for Robo agent yet?
my Rovo agent yet? No, but I'm going to be very short, and well, definitely going to be doing it in 2 weeks. But I'm going to do it before in 2 weeks because I'm going to be teaching people how to write Rovo agents
Oh, nice.
at
I
our event.
I haven't got the I haven't got the chance to like I built Robo agents, but I haven't got to write a custom Robo agent. That's my next feat. Like maybe next weekend. I'm taking my son to
Yeah,
the football game this weekend for the Packers versus Jets, so I'll be busy. But next weekend, if I'm not too busy, my plan was to like, hey, I want to make a robo agent that does like 5 cool things.
yeah. So what you could do is, so this idea that we're just talking about, like, is like, how do I know when people do like we don't? It's weird because we don't want people. Automations can be weird because automations get like written by a specific person,
Hmm.
and then if you're not careful, then they like run as that specific person exactly.
Yep.
And then if
Or
that
they
person
run,
leaves,
yeah, or they run as automations for Jira, but the owner is, ABC guy.
right?
Yeah.
So, but what would be better is if the like what we really, and then the part of the reason of that is then like you have to give automation for Jira these special permissions and all these other things.
Hmm.
What I'm really thinking is what you could do is you could write an action that dynamically gave. That'd be so wild. You could write an automation action that dynamically gave an automation access to the things to the projects it needed at the time of invocation.
Yeah, you could probably do that then.
But the other thing I'm thinking is like you're like who made it? Well, the way we know what happens when people change things or do things is the audit log.
Hmm.
And so when people edit automations, I don't think today we get notifications when somebody edits an automation.
If
You might be able
you're
to
the
subscribe to the log
owner, if
auto.
you're the owner of it, you should be getting it, I think.
Yeah, but what I think is interesting is the fact that I think like the product events, which basically means, and I don't know what all events you can receive.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah, okay, Jira events. There
And
we
it
go. There's a
depends,
list.
it depends too, because like there's more than one audit log now, right? There's the system
Uh,
audit log, the
yeah, anytime the global settings are
admin,
changed.
admin audit log. So it depends which one we're looking at. I think system you're talking about system.
Yeah, because what would be great is you just get like, yeah, so it's really interesting. Yeah, one of the things I think people don't realize is just how powerful um knowing just a little bit of code is.
Yeah. And just like all of like realistically what they've done in the cloud was like segregated endpoint knowledge, because before like you were in your personal environment and DC server, they were endpoints, but then things changed based on your environmental variables, but now we just have one big environment. So I think like honestly, like looking at other systems API, like Atlassian's definitely feels like it's so robust. I mean, definitely there's parts where we're like, hey, we're missing this, but like I see like every few months new things coming out that we have for endpoints. So
Oh,
like getting better.
constantly every week, literally well, every week they're dropping things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think, I mean, and I get it. And the other part is the barrier for entry has been dropped so much lower because you do not need to host all of this stuff yourself.
Right.
Like that's the biggest thing. But people like, and I know this because I had to deal with a Connect app. Like I had to spin up all this stuff in AWS just to be able to put some files somewhere.
Yeah.
Versus like Forge just handles it for you. And they're doing like incredible levels of security. Like that's what I love about this image right here.
Yeah.
It's because what this really shows is like the number of places where like you're you're only ever if it's coming through the app,
Hmm.
like I'm interacting in basically two places with ForgeBridge, right? Through the UI, I'm coming in this way, and either only hitting a product API or the Forge runtime.
Hmm. And they just updated Forge runtime too, because like that runtime they eliminated what 18 point something, and now you have to be at 20 point something. So they're deprecating older versions, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's good that they're like keeping up with that.
like the security, and I get it for folks, but like the security practices in this.
Hmm. And the awesome thing is if you're an app builder, whether you're in your company making personal apps, right? Or you're at the marketplace level distributing them, like because it's in Forge, you're not really truly responsible for all of the code scanning and stuff because they're doing that for you. Now,
Right.
not saying you shouldn't be doing that because I think, if you have your source code, you should have Sneak or something there to like do that. And you should be looking at like what the value of your code looks like and what kind of things should be in there and you're catching them ahead of time because you got to update that, right? But like knowing that Atlassian took that responsibility on to help with vulnerabilities and whatnot, I think that's so plush because that helps a lot, I think.
it's a modern development stack. And
Yeah.
I get it that some people are frustrated, especially develop marketplace partners. They lived in a world where they had control over everything, and now they're in a world where they have much limited more. I mean, they have a limited control, limited access to things.
Hmm.
Like they're much more gated by the actual APIs. You're not digging into the freaking Java code directly.
Hmm.
And that can be frustrating because that means that things that they used to be able to do, they've had to figure out new ways to do it or that sort of stuff. And it comes with this shared responsibility model,
Hmm.
which is the benefit of that you get help from Atlassian, but in some places you're sharing responsibility with Atlassian.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes that's not fun for marketplace partners because um, Atlassian's way bigger than they are. So they feel like sometimes the only group that gets to decide where the line in the shared places are is Atlassian.
But I mean, I think that would be like if you're talking about like any system, because if you go look at NetSuite, like
Yeah.
NetSuite's a really good example of drawing lines because they draw big heavy lines, right? I think Salesforce too, like all of the marketplaces are different, but like some of them have drawn very strict lines, right? Like, no, you don't get to touch our environment, and we deem who can make these apps or not. Or we left it open, but here's how you're going to do it. And I think that a strategic move of saying, hey guys, we want you to move your Connect apps into Forge. We want to get into a better marketplace for security reasons. And we want to own a lot of that responsibility. I think in a roundabout way, and this is just personally my opinion, I think that was a good move in some sense. And I know
Oh,
that it
yeah.
affects marketplace vendors, but I think what it also does is if you look at these great big enterprise clients that we have as solution partners and as marketplace providers, it allows them to open the door for them to use Forge to help them too. And so I think it's a level playing field because now they can develop the things that they needed on-prem that they no longer have. They can now reinvent that in the cloud using Forge and
Hmm.
giving them kind of like the weight to say like, hey, we can go to cloud now because we can facilitate X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
So I think that the power of Forge is like that it's open, that it's free, and that it's usable by everybody, you know.
Well, it's free until the end of the year.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the idea that it was free when it came out was,
Yeah, I mean, this is the other thing. I mean, luckily Atlassian has always been like, it's not going to be free forever.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, there's the pricing model is changing, and there's concerns about that. I was having this conversation with Rodney and Alex yesterday.
Hmm.
But understanding, and I think that's going to be an interesting balance too. When does a company decide to write their own Forge app versus when do they go with a marketplace partner? Might just not simply be because the work it takes, but because the reality is that a marketplace partner across all of its clients can bear the cost of breaking the API limits way better.
Yeah, or yeah, and have a segregated place to like do some of that other extra steps, right?
Exactly.
Or
And I
having a
think,
separate environment that like takes this data and then pushes it to Forge. So
yeah, absolutely. And I also just think that there's this whole thing that happens where you can, like, people are mad. They're like, well, it's not fair that, they're like, Forge is more expensive than AWS.
well, I mean, like the Forge environment at itself is a cost, right? They
Exactly.
got to bear
Uh-huh.
cost. So,
Yep.
I mean, they're in a business, they got to make money. And if they're not making money on it, then they need to at least recoup the price if they wanted to keep it free, right? Because there's, making all those calls is not. typically
People
free.
would say that they're making money on the base product. This is the Apple App Store argument.
Yeah, yeah,
And it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I mean, I don't think there's only two productivity platforms like this in the world. So it's not like Apple and Android.
right,
But it is true that it is hard to leave one to go to another.
right. The one thing I like
Um,
about it though is the way that they've set up Forge to get started, I think is easier than other platforms. You know what I mean? Like the to
yeah.
get it going and to walk through and set up one app, basic app. And I'm not talking about Hello World. I'm just talking about like trying to configure some kind of app to do this one thing for you that, you know, you needed to do is a lot easier on the Forge model than it is in even Apple or in any of the other distributed systems that are for making add-on apps, you know.
Hmm.
So that's the one thing that I appreciate about it the most. The other thing is like when you get into the pricing model, there will be places where it still generally could be free
Oh
in
yeah.
some
Oh
ways,
yeah.
you know. And the other thing is like the run on Atlassian, I think is a huge win too, because as a solution partner, trying to validate app add-on security and what we have to go through sometimes to do a client's security review on an app and what the marketplace partner has to provide and how we have to work together for that is sometimes so daunting. It's like, do you really even want to do this app review? Because it's like, you know, and I've talked to that about some you know, other people at Siebert and different places when we were at teams, like, you know, how do we make this better for all of us? You know, displaying the right content in the marketplace, maybe a click link to like, here's the answer to your questions or something. And now that we have AI, it's like, well, can we just use AI to do the security review and you just post the data so that that 200-page thing can be filled out real quickly? Because like, who's got
If it does
time,
it
you
right.
know? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's ways that we can fix that today because in the past it's been so ugh. So like what I think Forge does is solidify that maybe we don't have to do a security app review. Do you know what I'm saying?
Uh,
Because it's running on Atlassian or because Atlassian's already deemed a
yeah. Oh no.
valid
Yeah.
app. Yeah.
At Sonos, um, anything that was for us, if it was already cloud fortified, it didn't require another security review.
But some places don't take Cloud Fortified because Cloud Fortified doesn't tell you if it's ISOs or if it's SOC 2 or any of those things.
Oh
Like,
sure.
do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like
No,
I've worked at
Cloud
places.
Fortified does. Cloud Fortified does require SOC 2, I believe.
No, I don't think so.
We'll have to find out.
If it doesn't, that changed because it didn't at one time. Now Forge and SOC 2 is different, but like Cloud Fortified as like a marketplace vendor, I think was not. It was like you had to be part of the bug bounty and you had to fit one other one to be cloud
Oh yeah,
fortified.
you got to do that too. But like, if you're part of the bug, but yeah. So, but what I mean is that you can be. Okay, hold on. Sorry. My 4 to 5.
Yeah, if I remember right, that was a thing that we had to get through.
Cloud Fortified requires um
That's it right there, isn't it? Eligibility
security
requirements.
requirements. Okay. All right, you have to fill out this, and you have to. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
You just have to
So it's
fill
bug.
out the assessment, right? It's true.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's what I thought. So like what I always thought was like if SOC 2 like on the side of Cloud Fortified was there available or ISO's 27001 or something in that matter, like I would like as a person doing the review and coming from a compliance team before or working with compliance teams very closely, like that would help maybe solidify that we don't
Oh
have to do
yeah.
such an investigation.
Well, right, and you can list those here. Like you can pick the
Yeah.
ones here.
Yeah.
But part of the deal, and this is why they've with for marketplace partners, they've partnered with Vanta
Hmm.
for marketplace partners to get a free year of Vanta,
Hmm.
specifically to get the Vanta Trust Hub.
Right. And then be able to have like
You just go
your
there and you can
ISOs.
grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that
Vanta's
our security people freaking love that.
well, Vanta's kind of like doubled down on getting people through that faster and helping teams be, you know, work through that a lot quicker.
Yeah, and
I've
they've
done a
also,
couple of them without Vanta, and it's a nightmare. All the
oh
things.
yeah, I used to spend, I mean, all of the time because I was responsible for getting approval for most of our collaboration apps,
Hmm.
or the ones that we wanted, getting approval just to try them out. Man,
Yeah.
I had to go through security review.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it is. And I think, it's funny because I don't know, like some people say, well, it's not fair. Like, or like, the one thing that runs on Atlassian that I do think makes sense to some degree. I don't know. If runs on Atlassian, having a runs on Atlassian app does not by default mean that no egress is happening.
I thought that. Oh, really?
Analytics data can be egressed,
Oh, yeah. True.
but also they haven't given a definition of what analytics data is.
Right.
So there's a giant like policy loophole that people can drive through. Now, there is a switch to turn that off globally.
Hmm.
And the first time you install a runs on Atlassian app, it will ask you if you want to turn off that switch because it's on by default.
Right.
And the argument has been made that having it on by default is violating certain rules from a certain country, um, because not sending identifiable information is a shared responsibility.
Do you think that we're mostly talking about the EU because they have
We
the like
absolutely are.
hardest
Yes.
hardest restrictions?
Yeah. Yeah. We're also talking about like one person who thinks this. So,
Oh. Well, I mean,
um,
like if you go through all of that like security and compliance stuff, like I've seen all of those things be interpreted so different depending on
yeah,
which
exactly.
place is
And it's
auditing you, which team is running the compliance, which team, what tools are they using to get through compliance,
oh my
and
God, this is really
and which
funny. Hold on. This is
yeah,
just so funny. Hold on. I'm over here. This is the Information Commissioner's Office. This is supposed to be where you get information about the policies, right? But here,
the page not found, the
I
wrong.
don't know if it's the individual rights for GDPR.
Mhm.
So, like, right to erasure. I don't know whose fault that is, but somebody should solve that. This is me filing an EcoHelp ticket, with the developer support ticket. Because, yeah, those should link to the right things.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen that happen a few times over the years.
Yep. Super fascinating. Well, and it's important for people to know that, like, for example, developers are required to report the use of personal data in their apps.
Hmm.
Like they have an API that you have to use as part of your tool of your app to report the user accounts that you are storing data for.
Hmm.
And the reason for that is so that you can, let me see, why is this? You're required to report them.
Yeah, I think
I
when you go into Dev Console and you're making, like, let's say you're making a Forge app, you have to say, like, does your app hold data, right? For like personal data or
Yep.
profile data.
And basically, oh, I know why, because I think you have to be able, um, yeah, yes, because Atlassian will also then send requests for deletion
Hmm. The other
through
thing
their
too, I think
API.
if
Yeah.
it's not compliant, I think they will take your your app
Yeah,
off the marketplace, or shut your app off until you fix those errors.
I surely will.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen that happen to me yet, but I don't think I've built anything where it's storing any data at all, like, or
yeah,
using like user data. So
yeah, and it's good to understand like what user data is,
mhm.
But and it's good for users to understand that too. And Atlassian has done a lot to be like, let's define this so everybody up front knows. And
Rem-
yeah,
Remember about 4 or 5 years ago when they changed the profiling, how your profiles work, and giving your access back to the profiles and the Atlassian IDs and all that? They made all those like all of that was made because of GDPR and
yep,
privacy. And it was like everybody was so distraught about like why did they have to do that with profiles and why can't we put all this data in there? And it's like, well, you can just use an asset, just use an asset object, user object, and then tie that to your Atlassian ID, and then you can put whatever data you want in there
right.
inside, but it can't be held.
You as the
Yeah,
company, like
yeah,
you as the user, can do
yeah.
that
Right,
with the data that you're responsible for.
right,
But like, but part of it too. But Atlassian, like this is why Atlassian does not um return email addresses directly anymore.
right. I remember they used to at one time. Now you got to
Yep.
translate it from Atlassian ID.
And that's because they needed a way to be able to erase the email address from the system
Mhm.
without losing the association to the user object behind it. If somebody requested their right to be forgotten in
Right,
GDPR.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember when all that happened. It was like, oh, and like the limited attributes that you can have, right, in a Atlassian profile is pretty limited, and I think that also has to do with that. Like, you want to do that with assets, go ahead and do it. You want to do that with Jira fields, go ahead and do it. Like, find a way that you want to do that, but we're not doing that kind of thing.
Yep. Absolutely. Because yeah, right. Because all it takes is like when Atlassian is hosting it, it takes one person for Atlassian to get sued.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's for most systems, right? That's why there's some varying methods used to like gate some of that. You know.
Yeah. When we were talking about the change log, I mean, like, look at this thing. Look at this. So first of all, maximum quantity billing. This is one of the new billing and pricing models that they have,
Mhm.
where I believe this is like across multiple instances, you
Yep.
bill for a maximum quantity.
Yep.
Um, and then, I mean, these are a bunch of things
That's
they've been
for that's
fixing.
for enterprise though only, I thought. If you had multi-site enterprise.
I believe that's true. I have to look. Internet maximum.
You
Oh
can
no.
network
Okay,
for
no. This one
premium
is not
booking.
that. This is okay. This is highest number of seats you reach in a given month,
Oh, yeah, I
and
know
any
that
seat you add. Okay, that
there
makes
was
sense.
that app
Yeah,
thing.
that's multi-instance licensing, I think.
Yeah, multi-instance license.
Yeah, because this is good because that way, because right, previously you add a user and you pay for them for the whole year
Mhm.
automatically.
Yeah.
Every time was a giant change.
Hmm.
Um, Payment methods are now going to ACH. Interesting. Well, here's multi-instance pricing. Yeah, that we were talking about. They're pushing that out to the. They're getting the EAP now. 100K pricing tiers. Jesus.
Yeah,
New
that's good stuff there.
APIs.
Lots
Oh,
of good
this is
stuff
just the
coming.
mark. This is just the marketplace change log. What I
Yeah,
love is looking at the developer change log to see all the things they've changed there.
lots of things changing
All the time.
all
That's
the
why I
time.
put together my website
Yeah,
or my
it's
thing
good.
because there's just so much. Connect custom data. Okay, so now they just like example we're talking about. They just released the ability to migrate your custom content modules from Connect to Forge while preserving content.
Yeah. I know that some developer teams on the marketplace, our marketplace teams have been waiting for some of that to get
Yeah,
super solid because otherwise it's like, oh, we gotta like do the migration ourselves with no real help or translation. So I think there's, regardless what Atlassian puts in place, I think there will always be some pretty good size of work to get that over, and probably more work for some. Like if Tempo was to go into Forge, right? Like if that leap happened, I think that's going to be a big one. That's a hard one.
Yeah, this is a fun one too, which is well, this is not fun that they reduced the amount, but the Forge offline user impersonation, the ability to run as a user if they're not online.
Mm.
It's pretty cool. Um, Still releasing data center stuff.
Yeah, I don't see that happening for a while, right? Like the talks.
Yeah, here's where they dropped the Note 18 runtime.
But they are they are doing fast track and some other things to get people to the cloud faster now. So there's lots of movement on getting people off of data center.
Oh
I
yeah.
I don't know if we'll hit a EOL stage recent like in recent years to come, like we did with server, but it makes you think, right? It makes you think like what is coming. I made a guess in my head. I was like, oh, I bet you like by 2028, like it'll be done. But who knows? Like there's no numbers set yet. So
Yeah, and
I
here's
feel
that
like
smart
it'll
link from
I feel
yeah.
like that it's gonna catch us off guard when it does happen. And then we'll get a race of like people that need to.
Well, yeah, because some people will never do anything unless they have to.
Well, I mean, I know people who are still on server unsupported, and they're like, we'll never move from it. This is what we'll always use, and that's too bad. And it's like, okay, do you?
That's wild.
And we had a
That's
rush of them last year when I was at Centify. We had like a bunch of servers at the end of the year there that was like, we got to go. We only got weeks. And it's like, okay, let's go. Let's get it done.
oh neat. Board context available on the Jira project page, extension data. Was working with somebody last week who so Jira they made a change. Atlassian made a change where in the new UI in cloud, um, uh, epics are now visible in boards,
If you
in Scrum
don't,
boards.
yes, if you don't make the change on the board settings.
Right. Yeah. No, right. But they're not available in the backlog.
If you turn the settings, you should be able to turn.
Nope. There's not anymore.
What? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I've got like, I don't know how many different places I've been. I haven't seen that yet.
Yep. So so this is wild because somebody was like, I'm trying. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm me.
What do you think about the Google deal?
I think it makes sense.
I think it makes sense.
Especially when you consider AI.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like Google's inference hardware is next to none, and GCP is doing a really good job. Okay, so what I want to look at here is,
I'm a
and
Google guy anyway. Like if you said Aaron, Microsoft or Google, I go Google every time. Also, I
I
like app scripts. So
have much more experience with Microsoft. But and I
mm,
also think that the fact that Google, and I know that GCP is different in this case, but like Google's Google's support.
oh really? I love Google support.
Well, if you have a product where they answer you,
Yeah.
the problem with Google is they offer a lot of free things and then don't help anybody with them.
Hmm.
Where do I want to go? I want to go. This is JGIO. It's the one that I want. Okay, cool. So
Go to Jira. Find your one Atlassian site.
yeah, I have a lot of them. It's too many. IT support. No, is it mobile dev? Let me see. Yeah, it's mobile dev. I think Mobile Cowboys is the one. No, Mobile Baltimore. Oh, did the sprint end? Ah,
So go in there and see where it says Epics there in the backlog. Should be the drop down right there, is it not? Yeah, turn
You
that
can
on.
you can show an Epic panel,
Yeah.
but you can't. So no, what my
Oh, you
person
mean
was
you can't
talking about.
see the epic in the backlog itself, like created there. Is that what you mean?
Right, exactly.
Oh yeah, you haven't been able to do that for a while.
No, well, no. Apparently, no. Apparently, what I learned is in the previous version of the UI, you could see it in the backlog, but not in the sprint. Like you could not show it in the sprint view, the
If
Scrum board sprint view.
you
Here, let me
go,
just let me let
yeah.
me let me do this.
Oh yeah,
Let's
yeah. You couldn't. No, in Scrum you couldn't see the epic on the board, but in Kanban you can.
right. But so it was like one or the other, and then they switched it.
Oh, well, you have timeline. You can always see the epic in the timeline.
Yeah, we were talking through some of those things because what this person was trying to do is they want to be able to rank things just like you can.
You can do that in the timeline.
Yeah, you can. That's one of the options
Yeah.
that we talked to them about was
Or
like
you can,
using timeline.
yeah. Or
Did everything?
you can do
Why
it in the
why did everything
backlog.
just disappear? It's really
If you do it in
funny.
the backlog in the epic panel, you can rank the epics there too.
You mean you can rank them in the Epic panel?
Yeah, you can move them up and down to rank the epics where which order you
Gotcha.
want them. Yeah. I would say
But the
that'd be
thing,
the same as the timeline.
yeah, but the thing that I was thinking that would be fun to do is you could if you wanted to have a lot of fun. Not here, but you could build now that they just this is what I was saying ooh because of what they just released, which is they've added board context in the project page extension data.
Hmm.
So for Forge, I can build a project page,
Oh yeah. But
and
don't
I
you
so
like
you
in
could
plans, don't you have that in plans realistically?
oh yes, okay, yes. I'm just saying that like if you didn't have it there,
Uh-huh.
you could now more easily build your own
Tab.
like dedicated epic ranker.
Oh, right. And you could put it as a tab inside the
Exactly.
options, right? Because like
Yes.
you can build your
Project.
own tab
Yeah. Your
in
own.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that. I think people will make use of that too, because like you think about big companies like Verizon, AT&T, all of those big companies that are using Atlassian and all of the different tools that they've have, like I can see that's where Forge and all of these new things are going to help expand that because like they might need something that ingests another tool and they might have to lift that into Forge and then have it be available there to like do those things and interact with their Jira, but be something that's like was third party, but now is part of the ecosystem and have something there like that where it's like, oh, we need this new tab to do this thing. And maybe it's to rank epics against these like things that come from some front end, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this. They're releasing Jira number field formatting for company managed
Yes.
projects.
Yes. I heard so I seen that release for team managed
Yep.
projects and I was like, oh
Yep.
my God, that's so cool. Cause like now if you build like a finance Jira work management project, end of month becomes real end of month because now you can do the calculations and you can add all that up. And now you
Yep.
can do that right in there. And I was like, but what about company managed? What that? It's got to be coming. So thanks for validating that it's going to be in company managed.
Yep, yeah, it's so neat to see the different thing. This is why I love reading this, sort of be like, wow, look at all of these things that they are like they're adding in. Like just last month, they added all of this stuff for software modules.
Hmm.
So your development info provider, your feature flag info provider. So this is all your stuff that you can tie in with Compass effectively, or in your
Yeah.
development panel. You know.
Yeah. Well, I see like Compass becoming almost like a needed factor pretty soon, especially with Dora and all the other stuff that's coming with it. Like, and also being able to make like custom apps for for Compass to do specific things.
Yeah,
What's your most waited for thing? I think the the new dashboards, how dashboards are going to transform. I think that's what I'm like. I can't wait for them to get rid of the dashboards like panel and put that in home and have this great big nice dashboard place, right? And then also like all of the projects having the project summary, like that will reduce the need for so many people to make these like really basic dashboards because it's right in the project. And I think that's beautiful. I think
Yeah,
that's something that
you know,
can,
the number one thing that I think Atlassian needs to do, let me say, the number one thing I'm waiting for them to do is fix team calendars.
oh yeah, I think a lot of people have been waiting for that. Like,
Somebody was talking like, can we just like, can we either have an API or an automation or something? Because right now, team calendars, like apparently, you can kind of find one by like calling the RSS calendar ICS standard behind things.
mm,
Like somebody puts some stuff in because somebody they use that as like their because it's in Confluence because it's the only easy way to put a calendar in Confluence
oh yeah,
without
Confluence
buying
is
an app.
such a yeah, or if you're connecting it to another one, but then they don't always stay in sync as well, or there's catch issues. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and I think you can now embed uh, JSM calendars in Confluence.
So that's another thing I would like to see. So you have the calendars in JSM, and there's two different calendars. There's the change calendar and there's the view calendar. And it was like, can we just have one that does
Right.
all of that and just not have so many calendars and just have it in one place, like in view? Because like, do we need a change calendar separate from the project calendar? Because I think like it could just represent the same thing. Um, and then like being able to do more stuff with it. I like that they added the maintenance schedule there. I think that maintenance thing was really huge because like your blackout dates where you're not doing any maintenance or your maintenance dates or like your change blackout dates, like those are important things. So
I think it's really funny the way Atlassian sometimes is like,
teams,
we're removing internal APIs from public docs. Why were they in there in the first place?
right? Teams, that's the other one for me. So I was on the research and development for teams when they redid all that change for like combining teams
Oh,
to
skin
be
synced teams.
instinct teams and then the skim idp, like I was part of that, preaching to the pms and that team like this is what you should do. And the one thing I told them was like, before you release this, like it's got to be able to work with notifications and permissions. And they're like, yeah, we're going to work on that, but that's down the road. And I'm like, oh man, we're going to be in like a no zone to say like use teams because we don't have those functions. So they just recently released uh, jira groups and idp groups to bond to teams. Great.
Yep.
So groups can be used in anywhere. The problem I see with that is like it goes against best practice where like using groups in schemas is just not something you should do because you can't track it. So if you're going to do that, let's make it auditable, right? Let's make groups auditable so we can have a an audit pan of where that stuff is or we'll just never find it. And that's why like even if you go really deep into IAM, why I really tell clients, like yes, you can use groups, idp groups for everything, but I would be careful where you do it because if you don't remember, try to audit that and see where they are when you change a group name or do something drastic, like you'll have a fun time finding it.
Well, this is yeah, that's true. But like you, the best practice that we did at Sonos when we were dealing with this is we would. The key is to have groups. Like, and then you have workflows. So you have your core groups, then you have product groups, and then you use workflows to map users into those product groups. So you don't put groups of people into groups. You don't put groups into groups because it's not supported. Um, but instead, you say this person has this role, or that it's
Yeah.
really
Well,
RBAC.
definitely using the roles is better and putting groups to roles. But what I'm really drawing at is like permission schemes, notification schemes, like using groups in theirs is not applicable. So like we should either make groups auditable, right?
When you're
Or
saying using groups and there's not audible, you mean when you add a group to a permission scheme?
or anything, like you'll never find it if you don't know it. Like let's say you're in a big site, big,
Mm-hmm.
big, big enterprise site, and you have 4,000 schemas, right? permission schemas and you use that one group in like all these different schemas, you'll never find all of those to clean them up because you can't audit groups where they're at. There's no way to do that.
When you say you can't audit groups, what do you mean? Like,
You can't find where they are, which permission schemes. So like roles are something you can go and audit. You can look at roles and where the roles live.
do you mean in an
Yeah.
audit log?
Yeah, just anywhere. Like okay, so if you go to roles, right, and you can go into roles in system and you can say like where are all these roles embedded at, right? You can see that. You can't,
Oh,
but you can't do
okay.
that with groups. And that's one of
Oh,
the
you
big,
mean
big
through the U? You mean through the UI? Okay.
yes, through the
I
UI.
would. I guess I would never. I would never do anything like that through the
No, but
UI.
you can't even find groups even with the API where they're embedded. If you tried to run a script to find where the match of those are, I don't think you'd come up with it.
Interesting. Let's see.
Maybe you could get a CSV on permission to groups, maybe. But like think where
So
you can all use groups at. Where can groups be used?
project
Application
permission
scheme.
schemes. So get the assigned permission scheme. So I can get the permission scheme associated with the project.
Right.
Then,
You'd have to go and put that against the group.
so here's permission schemes. Get permission scheme.
Hmm.
So I can get the permission scheme, and then I can see that a group, which groups are in use in are have that permission scheme.
Yes, but what if you're using them in issue security, notifications, permissions? Like, what if you're
Let's
using
see
them in
here.
all them?
All right, issue security schemes. Well, issue security is interesting. That's a good point because issue security.
It has to be a
Issue,
user, a group, or a role.
oh, here it is. Issue security schemes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So, get
but
issue
like,
security scheme.
think of what you would have to write to get this, and you'd have to table it out
Okay.
because you'd have to see the mappings to see where, and you'd have to have a pivot table to actually read it.
You would have to. So right. Okay. So I mean, you would have to put things in their database. Yeah. So I mean, like I can get the issue security scheme, but then what we're really looking at is what you really want in there is you want to get the issue security level members. So
Yes.
you can get the members of the issue security level. You can call directly to an issue security. Yes. So you would have to get the issue security scheme. Then you would have to get the issue security levels, and
Yep.
then you would have to
Yeah.
get the members from each level.
Right. And same with permission schemes. You'd have to do the same thing and
Yeah.
notification schemes. So like you see how big that report would look and how nasty it would be to get
Well,
to decipher.
if you wrote a report, yes, true. But like if I wrote a script that pulled them, stored them in memory, or stored them in a table, then grabbed each piece of it and then built something, it wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, now I'm thinking a Forge app to do this and put it on the marketplace so people can just audit their groups.
Well, and also here's the other thing. This is what Salto does.
No, yeah, yeah. Okay, so cool story. Salto, Revise can both do both of those things, right? In
I think
essence,
Revise recently more so. Like Salto was the first one to fully decompose your stuff as code.
right.
Yeah,
What
because I worked
Revise
with them from the
change
beginning, and
log is
Revise has been adding a
pretty
lot of.
great. Yeah, their
I
change
believe it.
log is
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Yeah. So what I'm saying about that though is like if you let's say you're an admin that's not a scripter or you're an admin that's not, but you have to do these audits and you're working with the IAM team to like do this
Yes.
stuff. Like you're really going to be lost unless you have some of these skills to like find that data. And so what I'm saying is like they should have something there equal to roles where it can find where are all these groups at. I need to know where these groups are at, or because you can do it with roles, but you can't do it with groups. And so I'm thinking like, as an
Yeah.
admin who thinking about those that don't have the same skills as others, like it would be really nice for them to be able to validate that information. You know what I mean?
True. To be fair, though, what did I mean? Not that I'm saying everybody has to do this, but I learned. Like that's what I had to do. Is that I had to learn
Yes, me too. But I'm
for this
thinking about
reason.
those ones that don't know or they're newer to the product. And
Now
here's one
they
of the
have
things that
AI.
But here's the other thing I can think about. So let's say you're a systems admin, and what happens in a lot of orgs is you're a system admin and you have to take care of like these 5 different systems,
Oh
and you
yeah.
don't really know them
Oh,
deep
that's so true.
divingly,
Yeah.
but you know them at a high level and enough to be dangerous, but you really don't know like the intricacies of those systems because you're taking care of so many, just keeping them floating. So for those admins, like to have something simple is like
Yeah.
very
Very
important.
true.
And so now we have to go write this and build this out in Forge for everybody and make it
Yes.
available at the
Well,
marketplace as like an
so you're gonna
admin.
put it, yeah, but what, no, honestly, well, we should put it in the marketplace. But this is the other thing I want to do, is uh, I want to open source more things.
Oh yeah, me too. That's I want to write some things and put them there so that they're up. Like the one thing I thought about was like the assets, like an
Oh my
asset with
God, just like the beginning of like the process of building an app that does assets is so complex.
oh my God, I'm stuck on one right now. So I'm trying to build this app that I want to make free called My Assets so that people can go to their portal, they can look at what assets are connected to their user object and or Atlassian ID. So when they go there, they can see, hey, these are the assets that are assigned to me. Wouldn't that be so cool just to see that? So I've been working on that, but I hit a brick wall. And so I'm having trouble with the old UI,
Well,
UUI kit.
so here's the deal. Part of so I actually have, and I would be happy to invite you to. So I have ForgeOSS.com,
Okay.
which is a site that a domain that I own, which the purpose will be to like be the front page for like open source Forge apps, components, all those sorts of things. And I do also have, I think it's forge-oss.atlassian.net, and a Bitbucket workspace attached to that for the whole purpose of bringing people on and so that like we the idea being that we put like a group of people behind this that are like, and so people can contribute to this repository
Yeah.
of open source Forge stuff, so that, because one of the things that Daryl said one time was like, it's hard to get started on some of this because there's not enough examples.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I agreed with him back then. Now I'm starting to agree with him, but in a different light. Like you're right, there's not enough examples of like what that code should look like in structure and whatnot. But that's so different based on whose mind built it, right? But
Oh
like the biggest
yeah.
thing is like, how do I formulate to get Forge set up? How do I set up my pipelines? How do I set up my terminal or VS Code or whatever I'm
Yeah, but
using to
not even
code?
that necessarily. But I mean like the actual like application builds and application patterns. So
Oh
like,
yeah,
how do I build like a basic asset app? Like, what does that really look like? And here's one that actually works, not like two-thirds of one that works from Atlassian.
right. Yeah, I'm
You
looking
know?
like so I was looking to do that with this assets app called My Assets. And what I wanted to do with it was like leave it so that it was free on the marketplace so that people could use it so that their teams could um, enjoy the power of like when they assign an asset to somebody in assets,
Yeah.
whether it's through an object, right? Like a user object that's tied to like an email or an Atlassian ID, which I hope they're using that, that it would show up on the portal for them and they could view that. And then maybe they could use the tables to look at like those
Yeah.
assets. And then when they go to put in it, a ticket, maybe they'll know which asset that they're talking about. Cause like some people, they don't know what
Oh
their
my God, they
asset
have no
number is
idea.
or
Right.
name is. Like it would be an easy thing for them to see. So some things I've been thinking about, but I think you're right. Like we should have like an open source community on some
Yeah,
of these apps.
because you can both put it on the marketplace
Mhm.
and open source it. So if people want to take it and fork it and do their own thing with it,
Right.
then they can do that part. And that's really neat too for people, because then they both see a working version actually live, they can install it right straight from the marketplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. I mean, the problem with anything Forge that's in the marketplace that's free is that you have to be careful, because at some point it's going to start costing you money if you're the developer.
Right. Eventually it will.
Yeah, well, yeah, like once it gets big enough, and starting next year, like that's like free apps on the marketplace, and it's only work in the context of large companies that have another revenue stream.
Oh yeah.
You know, like a lot of companies will, well, you see it all the time. It's the companies like Jellyfish. They're like, we have a compass component,
Hmm.
which exists really just to connect back to Jellyfish.
Right. Or Jenkins or any of those ones.
Yeah, and so I think actually, like, so I think a free app, and well, and also we might be able to, and this would be an interesting conversation to have with Atlassian, which is like, if we put it in the marketplace and it's free and we open source it, can you give us an additional allotment? Because what we're doing is encouraging other people.
Yeah. To one, use it, and two, go back and like use the basis of it, you know?
Because I happen to know that Atlassian, like, one of the reasons, okay, one of the reasons that, like, I mean, like, I know that they're pushing to get a lot more system of work apps in the store,
Hmm.
in the marketplace. And part of that is creating more developers.
Right.
And part of creating more developers is getting admins to code or
Right.
business users to code, and then them being like, wow, I could just sell this thing.
Yeah.
So,
I'm at that point right now.
yeah, exactly. Same. Yeah, I have an idea in my head for this one that yeah, like, and it's just, like I said, I have to start pressing go and working through it and not being like, oh, ADHD, let's go to something else.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta hit the deploy button.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. I
Well, and
think.
partly I think I need to get into using, this is why I need to get into using the CLI more,
Mhm.
because part of the problem is all of the stuff I do is like in Claude or in a Claude project. And so then I have to get it out of there
Yeah, and ingest it and then
and
start.
then get it down and then start it up versus just being like, okay, let's do it.
So how are you? So are you liking Claude Code? Have you
I need
used
to
it?
start using, I know I have it. I have it, but I haven't started to
I
use it.
would love if you could work inside your web browser or your app on your phone, and that would just like translate over to Claude Code. Do you know what I mean? Like I could push that data to Claude Code and have like a connector between the two. I
Oh,
wish.
yes, actually. So what you really want me to do, what you really want to do is be able to, what you really, I mean, okay, to some ways you could do this like if you were just, um, the stupid way to do this would be I have an SSH session into my computer and I'm running
No,
Claude
yeah,
Code.
but what I'm saying is like I have an instance of Claude Code running on my computer in terminal,
Right.
right? But I want to be able to take my web app and have a fork there into that. But I don't want to like use a SSH. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to direct connect into that.
You want, uh, right. Yeah. Unfortunately,
MCP server in some way, maybe. I was
like
trying
you
to
would have
figure
to
this
run a
out.
local MCP. Like, so what are you trying to have Cloud Code do?
So like I want to go to my projects in and have a chat with my my agent in the web browser, right? And
Yeah.
then I want to like validate what I'm working on and look at the code and digest things. And I want to look at validations and fixes and bugs. And before I take that code and put it into my terminal, I want to like actually talk through the learning pieces and all of that stuff. Because if I do that in 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 my terminal, a lot of times what happens is it'll just start pushing code because the way I have it set up. So I don't want, I always have to put the stop reminder there,
You
like,
got to put it into
let's talk
plan
about,
mode. Right.
yeah, let's talk about this before we start pushing. Because I
But
set it up that way to so I can
you can run
test
multiple
it.
instances.
No, 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 I know that. But I like to
But
have
when you say
like
when
a,
you say in your web browser, what you're really saying is you're working with Claude in the web browser.
sometimes, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
like to chat with it there, right? Because I
Yep.
have a
Exactly.
subscription there, and I
That's how
like
I
to
feel
like to,
too.
yeah. And then like, but when I have to go over to my terminal to start writing and doing things, I don't want it to automatically do things, and I don't want to have to prompt it to not do things. So I would rather to say like I have it figured out here well. Now send it to my Cloud Code and let Cloud Code take care of the rest.
Yeah, you could definitely. I mean, honestly, this is the file system MCP server.
That's what I thought. I thought it was like, can I set up the MCP server and then push data from cloud to there? I'm gonna have to test that and look at it.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. You know, Claude Code. So, there's a multi-context prompt feature. So this is to easily transfer chats and context. Of course, because you know what I did? I asked Google, and it answered me with, um, yep, you can, yep. There's like 3 different ways they talk about here, which is like I don't know which use Claude Code as an MCP server.
Oh, maybe I
Now
can do
maybe what
that.
Google has done is it has come together. Oh yes, yes. Okay,
But
there is a
how would you pipe that? Because like if I'm in my Claude Code, I bring up a terminal, I'm authenticated to Claude, and but I'm also in my local, right?
you can share MCP servers from Claude Desktop, and
Oh,
then Claude Desktop can read Claude Code as an MCP server itself.
oh,
Claude Code can be an MCP server.
oh.
So Claude Desktop can connect to Claude Code.
I don't have Claude Desktop installed. I'm just using the web version usually or my phone.
Well,
Now I have to do that. So
yeah, I mean, but also this is absolutely right. You could definitely do this because honestly, you could put Cloud Code in yeah, you just run an MCP server or an SSE server or an HTTP server. Like you could run an HTTP server to your local machine.
oh yeah, Claude Desktop.
Yeah, like this is really interesting. Want people have a lot of different ways to talk about this, but like I do think it's really interesting to think about getting Claude to talk between each other. Because
Yeah.
there's also this one called Claude Keep, which
I
lets
never
you
used that
save
one.
and somebody from Claude using an MCP
Hmm.
inside Claude Desktop. That's interesting. But yeah, I think one of the biggest powers that you can
That's
do Claude
why.
MCP add from Claude Desktop, and then you can
Yeah,
import
I
the
gotta
MCP list servers. Yeah, and
now
just
I
connect
get
Claude
it.
Code.
I'm just downloading it right now. I'm like, oh, I gotta get this because I didn't know there was a desktop version because I've always just used the web one.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it does.
I didn't-
That has yeah, it's really great. That lets you connect to all the MCPs you want.
yeah, now I'm good. But you know what though? The MCP servers eat at your limits too, from
Oh
what I
yeah, well that's why I signed up for the Max plan.
I'm on Max too. So expensive though.
Oh my God, which one? 100 or 200?
I'm on the Pro Max or whatever it's called. Let me
The,
look.
pho- the there's it has the 5x and the 20x.
I think I'm at the
Me
20.
too.
Is it
Oh, 20 is
20X?
the 200 a month.
Yeah, that's the one I'm on.
Woo!
It's
Well,
expensive.
yeah, with much as what you're doing, honestly, you know who should be paying for that?
Yeah, I asked.
If
I
they
have a
said
business,
no,
so I have a business in the background. So if
oh
anything,
yeah,
my
me too.
that's gonna pay for
Yeah,
it. So like
yeah, we're
let
gonna
that
write
pay
it
for
off.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, you could also. This is the wild part. Is ask why do we do this? Hey, Claude, how do I share the work that I do with you to Claude Code in a really easy way?
Oh shoot, I should have just talked to it. I haven't been on for a bit, so now that that's downloaded. Do you use Windows or Mac?
Mac.
Me too. I love it. I'm
Same.
downloading. It's there. Cloud is open. Yes, we're on desktop version. Oh, look at this. Use quick entry to send messages and screenshots to Claude from any app. Oh yeah, baby. It's in the top. That's so cool. Okay, I probably won't ever use the web version again if I don't have to.
Well, Claude, I'm a little disappointed. You didn't know that you could do this.
Well, thanks for letting me like nerd out and share a little with you today. I wanted to come last week, but we left. So last week that I missed Forge Fridays. Um, we went on vacation that one week, so I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to make it. I had to go take my kids out of town and whatnot. So, but I have to go feed them because I have a whole tribe of myself with all my children. So I have to go feed them and be a good dad and get them
Yep.
off of their technology since they're not coding. I'm actually trying to get them to code too. So I'm gonna start signing them up for coding classes here and doing like the kids coding. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that'd be really cool. I want to see them write some cool Minecraft game or Roblox or something cool like that. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Love
but
it.
thanks for having me today. And
Of course.
I will maybe next Friday catch you, or if not,
Yeah.
the next one. So
We'll be back soon. Of course.
all right. You have a good one,
Bye
Brian.
bye.
All right.
Yep.
See you, everyone.
Well, folks, it's just basically, I think, me and Aaron. I think, Rodney, you may be still hanging out in the background, which is nice and cool. Um, but yeah, this has been a really fun time. So take care. Oh, there's Rodney. Jens. Oh, hi, Jens. Haha. Totally missed you. You don't think we will? Yep. Jets. Bob was here. Wow. This is what happens when I accidentally close the chat. Hey, friends. I don't know if you're still around. Um. Oh, and Marcus. Hey, Marcus. All right, y'all. Take care.